Good evening and welcome to the September Rutherford County Public Safety Committee. We'll start the meeting by asking for approval of the minutes from last time. If I have a motion.
Mr. Chair, since I was probably the only one that attended that meeting, I'll move to approve.
Well, I was there with you, but I think some of the others will need to do it, but I'm sure they read the minutes.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, I'd like to start off tonight, and we'll just, since there are 5 new people on this committee and only 3 of us are commissioners from the past, and introduce ourselves so the constituents and y'all know who we are and what we do. And we'll start off though first with Miss Becky Shelton, and she's the one that keeps us out of trouble, okay? She makes sure that we get the motions and we get a second for them, and she makes sure what's supposed to go on the budget or to the commission does so. So she is invaluable to us. Next, Mr. Serino.
Chantal Serino, District 21 from Middle Tennessee Boulevard toward Dilton Mencken area, Manchester Highway.
I'm Jeff Phillips, I'm District 17.
I'm Steve Piercy, I'm District 2.
Pettis Reed, District 8.
Joe Gurley, District 9.
And David Nipper, District 15.
And I'm Doug Schaefer, and I'm District 1. And I don't think that's because the whole county thought I was the best. I think they just started up in a corner at one time. So we'll proceed with the pause report. Ms. Gregory.
Ready, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll proceed.
Yes, sir. For the month of August, we took in 743 animals into the shelter. You see a typo?
Just want to, okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's go a little slower tonight.
Okay.
And if there's some wording or something that you may just need to give a definition of,
Yes,
or
sir,
something
will.
like that for everyone.
Okay. So from all jurisdictions within the county, we took in 743 animals into the shelter, which included our dogs, cats, and our wildlife. Out of those, you can see the breakdown there. We break those down according to the cities, as well as just all the county jurisdictions. And I see a typo, that should be 32.6% came from our county jurisdictions. As far as our outcomes, we had 133 animals that were adopted out to new owners, 467 animals that were euthanized, 37 animals were returned to their original owners, 9 animals died, and we had other outcome of 85. That other outcome would be animals that were picked up that we just disposed of, such as a roadkill animal, or the majority of those include wildlife that we are able to release back out versus having to euthanize. That would be like your possums, your groundhogs, your squirrels. We can release those back out. So we had a total outcome of 731 animals. That gave us a total adoption reclaim percentage of 23.3% and a euthanasia percentage of 63.9%. When you take in those animals that I was talking about that we could release back out, that put our live release rate at 32.3% of our animals. And then 3 of the animals that were reclaimed by their original owner were from surgery programs that we're doing through our grants. On the second page, we had 120 animals that remained in the shelter at the end of the month. We had 1,898 people visit the shelter looking for a lost or new pet, and we had 2,133 log calls and voicemails for the month. We had 1,745 calls that were received, 1,763 calls that were completed, and you can see the breakdown of those by jurisdiction at the bottom as well. And for the month, we traveled 10,964 miles. On the 4th page of the report, you'll see fiscal year to date numbers. We've taken in 1,585 animals into the shelter. You can see down on the bottom chart that we've had a 25.5% adoption reclaim percentage and a 63% euthanasia percentage since July the 1st. Our live release rate is 33.3%. That number as of today for this month's gone up. We're sitting at 40 when I left a while ago. We've had 4,163 people that have visited the shelter and 4,753 logged calls and voicemails. We've handled 3,634 calls received and 3,659 calls completed, and you see the breakdown by jurisdiction there also. And then since the 1st of July, we traveled 22,605 miles. The very last page of the report is our rabies exposure and bite report. Where everything else goes fiscal year, as far as our monthly report, this report goes by calendar year. So the information that you're seeing is from January the 1st. For this month, we had 26 bites that were reported. 2 of those animals were tested. None of those tested positive. As far as our other exposure, what that's going to be, it would be a scratch or a dog that had contact with a skunk or another wild animal to where there wasn't actually a bite. We had 12 of those that were reported. 9 of those animals were tested. 2 of those did test positive. You can see down at the bottom the breakdown from January 1st of this year of the positives that we've had, and they have all been skunks that tested positive. For the state, you'll see over on the side some of those say unsatisfactory. Those are animals that could not be tested for various reasons, so those are treated as though they are positive when they're unsatisfactory. All of these skunks that we had, I believe there were 2 that had contact with humans. The rest of those were, your dog came, attacked a skunk, killed it, so we needed to test the skunk to make sure it was not rabid, and those type things. Fortunately, the skunks that we've had positive, the folks had some type of history of a rabies vaccination, and in those instances, the state's recommendation was for them to do a 45-day home observation on that dog. And then at the end of that time, they were free to come out from under that. Thankfully, they did have some type of vaccination history.
We have any questions?
Mobile unit, do you have any
Oh,
shows going
gosh.
on this month?
The September and October are the busiest times for the unit. We are having to turn folks away. We've had 3 scheduled this month, I think every weekend next month, a couple on into November, and I probably could have scheduled I bet I've turned down 5 folks just because they conflicted with those dates. So yes, it is going out quite often.
You've been down in the northern end of the county,
It's-
Laverne, Smyrna?
Oh, that's most of the places that we go are in Smyrna, because we have an agreement with PetSmart to be there the 3rd weekend of every month. Plus, we also participate in their National Adoption Weekend, which was 2 weekends ago. So we were there 3 days then. So we're there quite often. We've also been asked. This Saturday we'll be at an apartment complex in Smyrna. They're having to be more pet-friendly apartment. Next month, a couple of our events are going to be over in Franklin. Mars Pedigree has a huge event over there that they've asked us to come to this year, and there's also one over there called Barktoberfest. Most of those places have 30 to 50 groups there and 2,000 or 3,000 people, so it's good exposure for us.
When you carry a trailer full of animals, how many do you bring back normally?
It varies. It varies. Sometimes we bring back everyone that we take, but it was just that we were out in the community, shedding our department in a positive light. We've also gone at times to where we've come back with half of what we had on the trailer. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Nice to be busy, isn't it? At least hopefully positive.
With some positive things, yes.
Yes.
It's not necessarily nice to be busy when it's all
Yeah.
negative.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
We have a second to approve the pause reports. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Mr. Grady. Ambulance service report. Did you bring some help with you tonight? What is it, or do they back up you? The new guys that are here, that they give you a hard time or something?
Probably if you asked me some questions I couldn't answer.
There you go. Okay. You can go ahead and proceed.
The first page of the report, the top of the page is a table that helps us to keep up with our collections as well as the number of calls. It has not only this year's figures on there for the month, but it has the 2 previous years as well. Our number of calls this month was 2,349. We had an average response time of 8 minutes, and the number of DOAs for the month was 38. And the number of autopsies per month was 16. And the cost per autopsy is $1,600. As far as our collections, we billed $1,377,046. We collected $512,244. Our year-to-date collections are $1,206,273, and that puts us on a projected yearly collection of $7.2 million. That's a 55% collection effort. Not everything that we bill is going to be collected, and we realize that, but on what is possible to be collected, that's a 55% rate. We usually do a little bit better than that. We had $453,215 worth of insurance write-offs and other write-offs, which includes collection agency primarily, is $40,855. The table at the bottom of the page lists each one of our ambulances, the number of miles driven, what the maintenance costs and the fuel costs and the total operating costs, and then we try to put that into a cost per mile. And any type of significant repairs that had to be done to the ambulance are listed there as well. The ones that are highlighted in yellow are reserve ambulances, so they don't get used as much. We use those ambulances as backup. We also use them to provide public service events such as high school football games and TSU football games and those things. We drove a total of 46,933 miles. Maintenance cost was $15,577 and fuel cost was $17,726. Total operating cost $33,303. And the last thing on that front page is what we refer to as out of county or out of zone calls. Our county is divided up into zones, and each one of the ambulances responds primarily into its zone. But occasionally, if that ambulance is busy, then another ambulance has to be dispatched into that zone. And in some cases, Commissioner Sereno, it gets to be pretty drastic. We'll see that in a minute because we've got another page over here that will help you see what I'm talking about there. But the total out-of-zone calls are 659 calls for the month.
And you might just mention about the autopsies that they are.
We don't have much control over the autopsies. The autopsies are actually ordered by the Attorney General, but historically the Attorney General has said that he's going to order any autopsy that the police or investigating agency feels like there needs to be an autopsy, or if our agency feels like there needs to be an autopsy. But that's what he uses to order the autopsies. We actually try to keep that number down as much as we can, but still, as our county grows, this number continue to go up.
And the county's responsible for them all, plus paying them. So just, you know, Murfreesboro Police can request the autopsy. Last week, county coroner does it, and we're the ones that are charged for it. Just point it out to you. It's a pet peeve with some of us. That's why I brought it up. Okay, thank you, sir.
Any questions on that page? The second page lists several things. The first of those is in-service and training, and there's 8 of those listed there for this month. That's a pretty standard number. Sometimes it's a few more. Rarely is it very much less than that. And several of these training and in-services are conducted with other agencies, such as you'll see the Laverne Fire Department. We had conducted a joint exercise with them as well as with the Murfreesboro Police Department. We also meet with St. Thomas Rutherford Hospital and Stonecrest Hospital on 2 or 3 things, generally every month. We have pedal medics. They primarily provide coverage to the MTSU football games. They're also busy in events such as Uncle Dave Making Days and those type of events that are up here on the square, because they can respond so much easier on the bicycle than you can with an ambulance. The TOPS team is actually a tactical paramedic that supports the, I have to ask the sheriff, what do you call your team, Steve? Sit back there. Troy, what's the name of the SWAT team?
Fast team.
FAST team, that's right, thank you. They provide medical support for the FAST team. The REACT team, REACT stands for Response to Emergencies and Community Teaching. We feel like that we kind of have an obligation to try to prevent as much stuff from happening as we can. So we're very active in the schools and daycares and pretty much anybody that wants to learn about ambulances or show kids the ambulance or whatever. We're more than willing to go and do those kind of things. So you see that there's several things there where we provided that. It also includes the medical coverage for the high school football games, and this month we covered MTSU graduation. We cover all the home football games for MTSU. And I might mention to you that we get paid for that, and we put that money back into the general fund. Or not to the general fund, we put it into the ambulance fund, and it goes into our reserve at the end of the year. We provide medical coverage for the soccer tournament that was a big deal last month, and several 5K races. Our SORT team, Special Operations team, they do a number of things. They do water rescue and recovery. They do high angle rescue. They do hazmat, mediation, trench rescue, confined space rescue. So they're pretty much training all the time in one way or the other in order to do those things. And that's some of their training that they've done this month, as well as they made several calls, and those are listed as well.
Just to give an example, why don't you mention about the Yellow Dot program, because I see you've briefed the Laverne Senior Fund.
The Yellow Dot program is a program that was initiated by the state. The reason it's called Yellow Dot is that there's a yellow dot and you put it on the back window of your automobile. And we have a form that the people fill out. You don't have to necessarily just be a senior for this, but a lot of seniors have kind of jumped on it. You fill out all your medical history and your whatever medications you might be taking, any conditions you have, and you put that information in your glove box. We don't keep it, but it's in the glove box. But the people who are the first responders are trained that if they see that yellow dot, then they know where that information is and they can have ready access to it. And it's been very popular, more popular here in this county than any other county so far. We're having, the state only produced a certain number of packets and we ran them out, but they're kind of caught up now. And I was talking to Terry today, she's got several of those things scheduled for this week and next week.
Well, you can see with this that it's out in the highway, and if you have some condition, if you've got some problem with you or something like that, and you're incapacitated and the first responders get there, you want to make sure they give you something that can help you and not something that's you're gonna react to, and that's part of what this does. Thank you.
Yeah, the following page is our response time report, and this response time is broken down by individual stations. So in other words, the way that works is Blackman Station had a response time of 8.9 minutes. They were on the scene for 14.3 minutes, and the transport time from there to the hospital was 9.5 minutes. And each one of our stations has that listed. And that's where we get our average. Our average response time for the month was 8 minutes. Average time on the scene was 13.3 minutes, and average transport time was 16.2 minutes.
Why would Salem have a 62-minute average time?
I would have to go back and look, but what I suspect, Commissioner, is that they probably ended up on a call that was an extended type of call. Like, for instance, when we had this situation over at the Judicial Building last week, we had one ambulance team that was...
I was looking at an average, and I just
Yeah.
saw that.
But just
That's one more average. That's
one call like that will really destroy the average. I suspect that's probably what it was.
Might be a typo.
The next page is the same data that's broken down by commissioner districts. So you can look there and tell how many calls we made into your district or any other commissioner's district for that matter. Typically speaking, Commissioner Phil Dodd's district generally is the highest district, but Commissioner Sereno's district is oftentimes right up there with him. But that's due to unusual circumstance. I'll cover that for you just in a minute. There also is a box there that breaks down our Nashville calls. Our policy is we're going to take you wherever you want to go. If we picked you up and you told us that you wanted to go to a hospital that was really not capable of taking care of that type of injury that you had, we would advise you of that. But if you still told us that's where you wanted to go, then that's where we take you. A lot of our residents have physicians and are more comfortable with hospitals in Nashville, and if they want to go to Nashville, then that's what we do.
So that 47 for District 9 doesn't mean that we have the healthiest and safest district.
Not necessarily, no.
That could have been my answer right there. I see Salem has 86 Nashville calls.
Okay, there's two teams that haven't showed up so far, and we report on those right here. We have a transport team. It's actually a critical transport team, and the intent of that ambulance was to take critical patients from the hospitals here in Murfreesboro, whether it be VA, St. Thomas Rutherford, or Stonecrest, to Nashville. This ambulance is especially equipped. It's got ventilators on it. It's got a number of things that's not standard on all of our ambulances. And the people who man those ambulances have received special training in the use of that equipment, as well as some other things. So we transport, the primary job of that ambulance is to take critically ill patients to Nashville. They do make some 911 calls because we're just at the point of where we have to have a little help there sometimes. And as you can see here, they transport 5 patients this month from Stonecrest and 54 from St. Thomas Rutherford and 1 from VA triage. That number is actually down a little bit from what it usually is. So they actually had 60 transport team calls, and then they had 82 911 calls. So they made a total of 142 calls for the month. The next page is the same information that we just went over, but it's year to date from the fiscal year. So that's just the yearly information. This next page is a matrix, and it I think is the one that's pretty important, because what it does is it tells you where the ambulance calls were made, and it tells you which ambulance made them. For instance, if you look at number 12, ambulance 12, which is in Manchester, or it's on Manchester Road, they only made 23 calls in their zone, but they made 146 calls into zone number 4, which is Commissioner Sereno's zone. Now let me try to explain to you why that happens. Our Burton Street ambulance is typically the busiest ambulance in the county. MTSU station and Old Salem Road station are right there with it most of the time. So you've got 3 ambulances here that border each other that are making a lot of calls. And so it's not unusual for that ambulance to be out of the zone whenever we get a call. And all it takes is one of those to happen. And we start backing each other up with those ambulances. And pretty soon we're out of ambulances. And so we have to bring the Manchester Road ambulance in to cover all of it. So that's, and you'll see them sometimes, you'll see them sitting over by Publix in that general neighborhood. And that's what they're doing, is they're sitting there covering these 3 zones. So that's why they make quite a few calls.
Should have made him turn his page up. Here, take that other direction.
And that's that's the end of the report. There's a couple of thank you notes. We generally bring those up here and share them with you every month, so.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On page 1, what cost per mile do you consider getting rid of an ambulance, or do you have a cost per mile?
Not on getting rid of the ambulance necessarily. We try to keep that somewhere in the 30 to 40 cent per mile. That's not going to happen if you have a big repair. But more than anything, Commissioner Gurley, is that we use mileage, because once they reach a certain mileage, the state requires that if they're over a certain number of miles, then they've got to be inspected, and it gets to the point where they have to be inspected almost as much as you have to use them. So usually around 175,000 miles is pretty much the life of an ambulance.
Any further questions? I'll entertain a motion for the report.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I have one other thing, which is why I brought my backup man.
Okay.
He knows a little bit more about this than I do, so if he, Brian is still there. This is Brian Gaither, by the way. He's one of our station managers. All of our station managers, their job description is that they're in charge of 2 stations, which means they're in charge of 12 people. But all of them have extra duties too. So those extra duties are generally something that
Gets to bring him here tonight.
so, go ahead.
And that's kind of why I'm here. One of my extra duties is I take care of the stretchers, the maintenance on the stretchers. And the guy that's our dealer that we buy them from, he's been on me a couple of years about seeking out Assistance Firefighter AFG grant to replace our stretchers, to go from the manual ones to the electric ones. So that's kind of why I'm here, to ask permission to
Apply for a grant.
apply for a grant.
Okay.
Yeah. Would the grant be 100%?
It would be, it would probably be 80% funded. We'd be responsible for around 20%. We can trade in some of our old stretchers because it's the same company makes the electric ones as the ones we have now. Don't have any idea what that amount would be. We're looking right now. We're depending on what options you put on them. That's how expensive they get. They also offer a maintenance contract on them where you don't have to do anything to them for 7 years. They do it all. So it would just depend on how much we wanted to add to it, to what that cost would be.
Is there an advantage?
You press a button to lift them.
Would this not reduce possible on-the-job injuries?
Yes, sir.
That's the biggest injury that ambulance personnel face, is back injuries, and we certainly have our share of those.
Any way to guess what that might be?
How much
The cost?
of injuries that we pay?
Any way to guess what potential savings that would create?
Well, I guess I'd have to talk to Dan Good.
And
How many are you gonna have to have?
And that's where
You
the
know what's coming, don't you? Be ready.
And I've already gotten some of those numbers from them. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, because I think trying to track an injury is a little difficult, because he was telling me it might be in this year, but they get hurt again, it falls back to that year.
I realize that, but if we're talking about a lot of injuries, or most of our injuries being that, then we ought to expect some reduction there, I would guess.
Both of us have suffered injuries, back injuries.
Sure.
And that's not uncommon.
And it's not just back, and it's shoulders and elbows and knees. And the Stryker salesman, the company is Stryker, they've actually done a lot of research on the advantages over the electric from the manual car.
Commissioner Phillips, just let me add something to your question. our 20%, we have enough money in the budget this year to replace stretchers that would probably cover our 20%. I don't think it would cost any additional.
It's just a great idea. I just want to make sure that performance-wise for over a period of time that these things would hold up. You've got a history you can look at or performance ratings you can look at
Of
from
the stretchers. Yes.
from other folks.
And they build a great product. Some of the ones that the manual ones we have now, we've got some that are 10 or 11 years old, and they really don't want you to use them past 7 years.
How much is the grant?
We don't really, we're just asking permission to see if we can head towards that direction. We're looking in the area of probably about 270,000, 280,000.
So that would replace all of them?
It would replace 20
How many do you have?
total stretchers. Well, we've got 25 online ambulances. We bought 4 brand new ones last year, and we have 2 of these electric cots already. So
It would put an electric stretcher on every ambulance that we man.
If we applied for the grant and accepted it, they'd have to come back to this committee to accept the grant, correct?
What's the time frame? Can you go another month and bring us back additional information if we make a motion to?
because they haven't even opened up those grants yet. So if
That's what I would
there's
like
some
to
other
see.
information that you wanted on it, I gather and come back.
I think anything that you do to make it easier on, I've known some EMTs and paramedics who've suffered the injuries, and it's not fun.
I think what he was asking is do you have to apply for these grants, or is it any time?
Well, they open it up, but I think they open in November, and they're open for, my understanding is 30 to 45 days, something like that.
Well, you know, there's a possibility you could come next month and bring us from your stretcher company, Stryker, the history that they can show of their.
And I could probably actually ask him, and he could probably
Yeah.
bring him, and he can answer all those questions.
You know, I think it'd be a good idea because of you talking. Are they low maintenance?
They really are.
Okay.
We do our maintenance in-house.
I mean, I'm talking about the electric ones that we haven't had yet.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 2 of them, and we haven't replaced any really expensive parts. There's a cylinder that's obviously the most important, or the most expensive piece to it.
They're battery operated, of course.
Yes, sir.
They're rechargeable. You recharge them in the ambulance instead.
Whenever we put the ambulance in the garage, there's a plug-in, a shore power plug-in, and it recharges everything on the ambulance, including the ambulance batteries and those things, and it keeps the temperature relatively stable.
I think additional information might be good, but just in case, I don't want to give them too little time to apply for the grant, so I would move to approve the application, the grant application, and then bring us some additional information next month. That might be required.
We have a motion.
A second.
Second. Okay. Further discussion? I guess further information you want?
If commissioners want some additional information on the type and the performance and where they're being used, you could bring that back if you want.
Okay.
You can bring the guy, I don't want to say your salesman,
We'll bring it in.
Okay, that's it. Okay, well, we get
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they didn't bring one of the new lifts in just to show it.
You want us to, we can do that.
Yeah, we can. We've shown it to the mayor.
What did he say about it?
I think he liked it.
Oh, yeah,
Did he lay down?
We can get him to lay down on it.
Okay. Okay. Is this just a roll acclamation? Okay. So, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we do still have, even though it's approved, they can apply for it. We still have the time to Next month if I look good. Okay.
Hey, how are y'all doing this
I'm
evening?
doing good.
My name's Assistant Chief Odom. Chief Farley is actually in Louisiana today, or tonight and tomorrow, doing a meeting for our new engine and our new rescue that's being built by Farrar Company. So I'm filling in for him.
Which one comes up? Okay. You see,
You ready?
we had two of them on here, and one of them didn't work. That's what it was.
I'm glad I don't have to use one of those. The first part of our report here is our year-to-date calls for county fire. It's broke down by the type of call. Year-to-date, we've got 836 runs. The next page,
Well, just, why don't we all take a look at those first two
Okay.
pages and just see, anything strikes you or you need to ask a question.
Anything significant that needs to be pointed out, or you'd like to point out in the report? That part of the report.
mainly just the number of calls out of our Station 1 and our Station 2, which is Station 1 is the one on Barfield Road, and then Station 2 is the one out on Old Salem Road in Rockville. We run medical first responder calls out of those. That's the majority of our number of calls. That's 215 calls. That's where we run with the ambulance service and assist them. But that's really just the majority of our calls right now is those. The next page is our monthly calls for just our department. It's 92. Once again, it's also broke down by what type of call it is. The next two pages are our MVAs for year-to-date, or I'm sorry, for the month. We've had 36 MVAs that the county rescue trucks have run, and our average response time was 8.2 minutes.
You might want to mention that you mentioned the two departments, the one on Barfield and the one on Old Salem Highway, but also that you want to mention the other departments that are tied in with you.
We
let's
have
put it
a
that way.
contract with Amelville Fire and Rescue, Walter Hill, and with Kittrell Fire Department. They man a county rescue truck and respond to all MVAs in their reported areas with whatever district it is. So, and that's all those are listed on there also, depending on which truck it is that ran the call. The next page is the report that all the volunteer fire departments turn into us for different calls. Year-to-date, countywide, we've had 1,934 calls. That is 634 calls up over last year at this time. So it's,
That's year-to-date from January?
yes, sir.
From January?
Yes, sir. So that's just kind of, we'll, as a whole county, we'll run, no telling, 1,500 more calls this year probably than we have in the last couple of years. And that's all the departments.
Why do you think so?
Growth. I think growth's got a lot to do with it. The last page on the report is the structure fires that we have to turn into the codes department. That's where if there's any damage at all, they've had to pull the meter for the electrical. We have to turn that into codes, and it has to get inspected before they can cut the electricity back on. And we've we've had 7 of those for the month of September.
Were any of them real serious?
You know, I was looking through them. I guess anytime your house gets damaged, it's not any fun for sure. So, but I don't remember them all off the top of my head.
It could be structure fires on a building, a detached garage or something too, can't they?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. If it's got electricity, we have to report it to the coast department so that they can go out and do their inspection before the electricity gets cut on. And that concludes my report.
Further questions or?
Move to approve the report, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And I believe you got a
I've got
budget.
Yes, sir. I've got a budget amendment. We're wanting to remove $8,000 from our maintenance and repair of vehicles into our evaluation and testing. The evaluation and testing is basically our training budget, and we've been doing a lot of classes, sending people to classes, and then also holding classes here in the county. And so we've kind of gone through our budget a little bit on that.
It's kind of early in the year to be transferring that much money out. Did you not foresee it?
No, sir. And with the class, we've actually had a chance to do some extra classes through the academy and stuff, so that's the reason we're just kind of trying to plan ahead.
Okay. What's that going to do to your maintenance budget?
We should be fine on it, just looking at last year's totals.
Okay.
We actually put in a little more this year.
Just one example for all of us as to what type of training you're talking about. Just an example.
It's we've actually had a advanced extrication class, which is just the next step above basic extrication. We've got a firefighter rookie class going on right now. This is the second one this year. We just had finished up graduating 30-something people through a emergency medical responder class, first responder class. Then we've had some people going to pump operations class, an instructor 1 class, officer school, just all kinds of training. So
Is most of it or all of it just for full-time firefighters, or the volunteers participate in some of it?
Most of it is for not only our department, the volunteers and the paid people, but it's also for all the other departments in the county, and it's free to all of them.
What about the cities? Are they allowed to attend?
Laverne has in the past sent some people to our rookie school and to our extrication class, but they just actually had a rookie school themselves, so they didn't send anybody this year.
Some, because I remember hearing it last year, and I got asked this, it seems to me that we had problems with the budget for maintenance and repair running out in the past because of older vehicles.
We did.
And how much, refresh our memory as to what we approved. I see what we approved, but is it, how much more is that than last year? Do you have any remember? Or?
I believe, was it?
I don't know.
I just remember going through it with,
We added some extra in
I know we
towards the end of the year, but we looked over it and looked through it, and then with the new trucks coming in, hopefully that's going to cut some of the repairs out, because the trucks that we'll be replacing will be the oldest in the fleet.
All the calls that you've had, the training is extremely important in my mind to make sure that we're on top of things. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the transfer.
We have a motion, it's all within the fire department's budget. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, what it is it's all within their department, so they're not pulling in any unassigned fund balance or anything as well. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper,
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno, Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Thank you. Good job, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello. This is EMA, Mr. Farrell Cast, because it is not the most common name in the world. It's called TK.
It's a lot-
Much easier to remember. I
It's a
think.
lot easier. After you had about 6 adult beverages, it gets a lot easier. Ladies and gentlemen, you have in front of me is our report for this month. I always put on the front of it our mission statement to let you know what we do as the EMA. Further down, it talks about that we mitigate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from the effects of all types of emergencies, including natural and man-made. Reason I bring that up is because that's the way I arrange my report. It's in those 4 categories because it's the most important 4 things we do. However, I will tell you, on most times when I report to you, mitigation as well as recovery will probably not have anything there because mitigation is for mitigation grant type things where we're trying to prevent something from happening in the first place through engineering and big projects. And also recovery only comes in whenever we have had a large scale event that requires some recovery. With a report here on the preparedness, the first section gives you a list of some of the training and meetings that we've attended this month, as things we participated in. As far as our preparedness, I will tell you that one of the things, sir, just let you know that the mobile command was utilized out at Old Timers for that festival. That's the first time we've sent it out there to help them out. Below all of those items, there's a small blurb there talking about the Homeland Security grants. One of our recurring sources of funding from grants is Homeland Security. This year, we've gotten about $69,000 that I just found out about for 4 different projects. And in the next meeting, I'll break out those projects and tell you what their status is and how much money is going toward each one. The way this works is we are part of Homeland Security District 5. District 5 consists of the following counties: Davidson County, who's the chair, Williamson County, Rutherford County, Wilson County, Sumner County, and Trousdale County. That all makes up District 5. And whatever pot of money comes down each year through Homeland Security through the state, we divide it up. Now, it is becoming a smaller pot of money, as you can imagine, over the years. But what normally happens is there are subcommittees and each county has representatives on each subcommittee. One of the representatives for one of the subcommittees, which is communications, is of course Commissioner Gurley. Commissioner Gurley, excuse me. Another one would be law enforcement, which Steve Spence is on that subcommittee. They look at what projects are needed throughout all the counties and make their recommendations to the main committee. The main committee is made up of all the EMA directors. I'm one of them, and we vote on the different projects up to and including all the funds for that year. So it's a kind of a long process, but it tends to work out. And what this is telling you is what we're doing with the 2013 is that money's already been distributed, and what we're doing on that is making sure that those projects are moving forward, that the money's being properly spent, and sending the paperwork up to the Homeland Security District. Like I said, we just got the notice on 14 grant, and I'll give you some details on that hopefully by next meeting. On the next page, one thing I discussed with you on, it's really an innocuous statement to call it a tower project update. We're doing more than just updating towers. We're actually going from, these towers are for all the emergency communications for the county emergency services. That includes EMS, Sheriff's Office, and fire. Okay? There are places in the county, as you probably already know, where your emergency responders cannot perform mobile communications at all. And this is meant to remedy that. It's a 2-phase project. We are going to upgrade and install 5 initial towers to be followed by 3 additional. So we're going to go from 2 towers to 8 towers. The initial 5 towers are the 2 existing towers, which are Tiger Hill and Lynch Hill. Also the penthouse at the Sheriff's Office, that's what we call it, the top of the Sheriff's Office. The Milton Tower and Smyrna Tower. Phase 2 of this will be Bradyville, Hudson, and WTN. Those are just now getting off the ground. So if you'll see some of my comments there, one of the big things that just happened is Motorola, who is our main subcontractor for this, providing most all the equipment, has selected National Communications to do what's called turn-up on the initial 5 towers. Turn-up includes making all the connections, the stuff's been installed, microwave, everything's been installed, making all the connections, programming, and pretty much make sure it all works properly and all that stuff. And if I get any of this right, I'm sure one of the commissioners will correct me. We're also currently working the lease for the Bradyville site, and we're doing a dish removal for the Hudson. The Hudson Road site was an old tower site that was inadequate. We're removing the dishes off of it, putting another dish up, but that's been completed. And we also are removing the old building there. We have a new building already. We found at a good price. We're just having some problems with disposing of the old building before we put the new one on the pad. Antenna has been installed at Smyrna, Milton, Tiger Hill, and Lynch Hill so far. So if you have any other questions for that, I can actually come back if y'all like to and give you a better brief. It'll take a little bit longer to talk about this project.
How soon, excuse me, but how soon do you look at this project being?
There have been bumps in the road. We were hopeful that this summer the first 5 would be turned up, but that didn't happen due to weather, some changes at Motorola and such as that. What we're looking at is this fall, before it gets cold, to have all this the first 5 going. Right now we don't see any reason why that's not possible, and that alone will have a huge improvement on emergency communications.
Because I know we got guys out there that
Yes, sir.
they need their backs
Yes, sir.
protected by this, and the sooner the better.
Yes, sir. Some upcoming events that we're planning for is on the 30th. We have a biosampling class that we're sponsoring. It'll be taught by the 45th Civil Support Team. If you're not familiar with them, they're actually a National Guard unit that's made up of full-time folks for the most part, and they respond to any hazardous materials type or terrorist type activity within each state. Every state has at least one of these. All right, it's a Homeland Security requirement. But they're going to be teaching a biosampling class. We have about, I want to say, between 30 and 60 people signed up so far for that. I will be teaching a hazmat awareness class to the Rutherford County Fire and Rescue Rookie School on the 2nd. We're going to participate to some degree with the Great Central U.S. Shakeout, which is a big earthquake drill that's done by multiple states. Also, the school system is going to participate at some level. Our biggest part about this is your biggest threat from earthquake for Tennessee is, of course, the Madrid Fault, which is in West Tennessee. And how that affects all the assets here, emergency response assets, is we would have to go in and support. So it's more of a command post drill for us than anything else. We're teaching a radiation monitoring class at Smyrna Airport on the 17th. And myself and my staff will be attending the Emergency Management Association of Tennessee workshop. That's the EMAT that you might have heard of in the past, the Emergency Management Association of Tennessee. As far as responses, we had 3 this month, and the details are the next pages in your report if you want to drill down into details on those, but I typically do not go over them in detail here. 2 diesel spills, and 1 was the incident on the 9th for a suspicious hazmat situation on the square.
It was quite an operation.
Yes, it was.
Impressive, actually. Scary, but impressive. Have you ever done one bigger than that?
Sir, I've only been in the job a little over a year, so no.
Is there any type of after meeting, instead of pre-meeting, after meeting, where the emergency management folks and all the sheriff's department and all of those folks get together and critically go through how that came about and what you can do to improve it? Or
Yes, the Monday following this, we had our natural action review at the 911 building and had a lot of good comments for that. We're also waiting on, because not everyone could make it, we're also waiting on some written comments from people to prepare the final AAR, and that will go back out to all the agencies involved because no matter what you do, whether you do it well or do it badly, there's always room for improvement
Sure.
in what you do. And that's what we try to capture with the after-action reviews.
We talked about training earlier, and this is perfect on-the-job training, but to learn from it. And
Yes, sir.
say we did this well and we can improve on this would be, I thought, really important, and you've already taken care of that.
Yes, sir. Because everything looks real good on the PowerPoint. You know, and then when you really go do it, you say, oh, there's holes here, there's things we can always do better.
I think there was a steering committee scheduled for that evening, and Mayor Burgess was absent because I think the emergency management folk grabbed him and put him in the bunker.
Yes, sir. We needed some heavy decisions at that point. So. But that concludes my report, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. Subject to your questions.
Have any questions? Lynch Hill, the road is completed now.
It's nice.
It's nice. We had,
It's nice.
it was, what would you say, it took maybe a dirt bike to get up to it before?
To call it a road was being nice,
Okay.
basically.
So it is, okay. So you've heard the report, we have a motion.
So
Got a motion, we have a second. Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. OSHA report.
Good evening.
Very good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
This is Dan Good from
Dan Good.
the Insurance.
Well,
No, excuse me.
Risk management.
Management, yes.
I'm the-
I was gonna say health risk, but that's not quite right.
I am the safety coordinator for the county, and I'd like to report on the on-the-job injuries for the month of August. And when I report on injuries, we report them under the OSHA requirements, Tennessee TOSHA. So when we refer to the year, we refer to a calendar year, January through the end of December. For the month of August, we had a total of 27 injuries in the county requiring medical attention. You can see the notice of the breakdown there as to how they broke down, whether they were slip, tripped, and falls, struck, or injured by strains, cuts, as such. Brings the total for the year to 146. And then on the next side, you'll notice there where it talks about the OSHA log. For it to be recorded under OSHA, it would be an accident requiring restriction days where an employee cannot go back to their regular duty. Maybe they've had restrictions, they can't stand as much, or they can't lift as much. They can't do their regular job, so they're put on modified duty. Or they're not able to return to work, either because the restrictions they have, the supervisor doesn't have duties for them to perform, or the doctor has taken them off work. And the last category for an OSHA recordable is all others, and for that they may be provided medication, which is a prescription drug, or they may have received some type of extended serious care such as stitches. So of the 146 that we had total for the year, 80 of them are recordable under OSHA. 53 of them had restricted days, and those days for those 53 as of the end of August totaled 839 days. The lost days claims totaled 16, and of those 16, the days out of work totaled 202. And then we had 11 other recordable under OSHA. On the next page of your report, again, reporting for the month of August, that total of 27 claims, I bring your attention to the total incurred. And what the total incurred are estimated dollars that are estimated by the adjuster that it would take in order to close out that claim and return the employee to full duty. One thing to remember about the incurred dollars is those are estimates, and as an individual is going through treatment, If the treatment is completed early and the employee doesn't use up all those dollars, then obviously it's adjusted down. If for some reason an individual's treatment is required more extensive treatment, for example, if they receive a broken arm or something, and then they're going to result in some type of surgery, then those dollars are in fact increased to reflect that. So at the end of August, those dollars is what's reflected for those 27 as estimated. The next page of your report is a graph that we try to depict on where we are this year as compared to the 2 previous years. The 2 previous years being 2012 and 2013 in the bars that you'll notice there, and the 2014 years is depicted in the graph. Out there to the right hand side, you'll notice in 2012, as of the end of August, we had 122. In 2013, we had 115. And in 2014, we're presently at 146. Now, while those dollars are up right now, we need to remember that when I report, I'm reporting for the county as a whole. That includes the entire Board of Education, the Sheriff's Office, the Fire Department, and all. So we've added the new school in the last year, plus we've also added the Fire Department, and those addition of people is reflected in those increases there. So while we are up slightly, we're not up as much compared when you start thinking about the number of people we've added in the last year compared to the 2 previous years. The next page of your report, I'd like to break it down by division. The Board of Education, they have about 3/4 of the county employees that we have. They're somewhere in the neighborhood of excess of 4,600 employees. They had a total of 20 injuries in the month of August. You'll notice that the majority of those were struck or injured by and falls, slips and trips. The dollars incurred on those at present are estimated at $22,475. And again, you can kind of see the breakdown. The other thing to remember about the Board of Education is while I'm reporting on a yearly basis, they have their school year. Of course, their first month back is August. So they've been out of school for 2 months. Teachers are coming back, setting up their classrooms where they haven't had their classes in session for the last 2 months, moving around. So in starting to do that, you'll start to see a lot more of the slip, trips, and falls. The school system also, during the summer months, they strip all the floors in all the county schools and re-wax all the floors. So they are highly polished and highly waxed. Any water or anything that gets on the floors is a very high slip hazard. Students coming back again and spilling in the cafeteria, water, things like that, that increases the slip hazard that's at the school system. So for the month of August, again, this is the first month back in session for the school. For the county general, report for that, the county had a total of 7 injuries, and the total dollars incurred there is $4,470, and again, they reflect there, as you can see, on struck or injured by strains and miscellaneous. A while back, I was asked if I could break out the county general. On the next page of your report, when you turn that over there, you'll see where those injuries occurred within the county as far as the county general. Being in this report, the Sheriff Department had 5 and Animal Control had 2. And that, again, still being the same total from the previous page. On the last page of your report, tried to present something on the total dollars to give you an idea of where we are. And again, always remembering as a claim matures, the dollars become more and more stable. So as you look at this report in 2012, as you look at the bars and on the graph there to the right-hand side, you'll see in 2012 we have a total of $445,000 that was spent year-to-date last year on claims. Those dollars are pretty well set. Most of those claims are closed. 2013, we're at $207,000 at this time last year. And that most of those claims are closed, while there's still a few of them open. Claims could be open as much as long as a year, being that claims happening December could still be open, since this is only the middle of September. And then lastly, for 2014, this year, at present, we're at $204,000 estimated, and most of those claims are still open for this year. So the fluctuation in the dollars incurred for those. That's my report I have at this time. Questions, please? Yes, sir.
Can I conclude that if we avoided highly waxing these floors in the summertime, we could save money both in the cost of the wax and the cost of injuries?
You might assume that, sir. That would be something the Board of Education would have to address, though. I'm sure there are issues with the polished floors, and I'm sure in most county buildings, I will say this: the custodians take pride in their buildings to be able to present them as, and that's what happens. Yes, sir.
Any more questions? Of course, a lot of these this time were strains.
Yes, sir.
Moving a lot of equipment around too.
And that's what happens. The Board of Education, typically the month of August is a very big month for the Board of Education. In fact, if you were to look at the 20 that I reported this year and look at the 2 previous years, you'll notice that they had 20 in the county as a whole for the last 2 years didn't amount to 20 the 2 previous years. And this year, the Board of Education by itself did 20. So they are up this year. But again, remind you, we have some new schools on board this year that we didn't have previous years, and still working on those. So,
We got one new
well, yes, sir. That's a big one, though.
one. Not yet. Yeah, okay. Okay, you heard the report. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion? Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Mr. Good.
You have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
You looked right at me when you said that.
You said you want to have questions.
In
Yes, sir.
anticipation of the grant being applied for and approved
Mhm.
and accepted,
Mhm.
can you pull the information together out of that department as to what stretcher accidents and injuries and the cost of those for the last couple of years, and then we can track over the next couple of years to see if there has been a reduction in cost, and see if that actually helps that situation. Can you do
Oh,
that?
absolutely. We can break it down by department. I can pull up by the EMS. I can tell you that, and I was just looking since you asked, I brought some statistical data for me this evening. A typical strain is less than $1,000 when somebody gets hurt. $1,000 being the fact of seeking medical treatment and prescriptions and things like that. If an individual goes beyond a typical strain and gets physical therapy, then we're looking closer to $3,000 per injury for anybody that requires that. And a strains that for some other reason while they are out of work, you start to go in excess of $8,000 to $12,000 for an injury if somebody is unable to return to work immediately because of the strain. So
The dollars
yes,
are important, but to prevent an injury is the most important thing. You don't have to worry about that employee's health. You don't have to worry about replacing them with overtime. You don't have to worry about a number of
oh
different
yes,
things.
and those figures that I don't have.
That's exactly right, but the hidden cost
Mhm.
is not something that we could quantify, but the actual cost is something that we should be able to quantify.
Yes, sir.
And this is a perfect example of being able to modernize, bring up to date, and not only help the performance of that department, but also help in offsetting potential liabilities as far as it goes to cost. So if you could work with Mr. Nunley and bring us back that information as time goes by. Once again, that's also assuming that we apply for, we are accepted, and we accept the grant and move forward with that, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Y'all have a good evening.
Correctional Work Center. Sir. Superintendent Salandy.
How y'all doing?
Correctional Work Center Superintendent Solandi. He always got his name right on the shirt there, so you can remember. Okay.
Start off with the minutes from the last board meeting on September 2nd. Talked about expenditures, there's nothing to report. Other business, we had a employee appreciation chili cook-off, which went great. Morale issues. We're getting ready for ACA, American Correction Association audit on February 23rd of next year. So we're preparing for that. And we had 5 staff members who went to the National Institute of Corrections in Aurora, Colorado. It was for let's see what they went to, direct supervision class. That was great. All paid for by the federal government, so that didn't upset our budget. As far as our population, the numbers is staying the same. And one of the board members mentioned recycling, using the DUI litter pickup, but that's something we'll have to work on the county level with solid waste and actually have a recycle program in the county area. So it's a conversation for now. And that was all. It was discussed at the board meeting. The work release program is going good. Currently, we have 16 in the program, and we had 2 inmates hired by Presco Tech back in July. 1 hired full-time in Swanson, and 1 at Metal Max. So the program is going pretty strong. The monthly worker report just reflects the work details and the money that is being saved by the county and the townships in total, and inmates are being used on the grounds to do jobs around there. We're saving, month of August was approximately $146,560. And that's the report. I do have a amendment to address if there's any questions on the report.
That worker report, if you would bring us up to date, why that's important, not only to us, but to the inmates.
It gives them, they're giving back to society pretty much. At the end of the day, it's, they are going out, working in a lot of government facilities. It could be town of Smyrna, Laverne, the grounds of fire department, the Murfreesboro Police Department, Eagleville. They're used all around the county and the city, so it gives them something to do, and they do have a self-respect thing going on, knowing that they're doing something good for the community.
Is there any incentive or early release incentive for them doing jobs like that?
All the inmates there receive worker credits for doing some kind of job while they're there.
So there is an incentive for them.
Yes.
It's a program that's worked really well, and you've done a really good job at managing that. I'm really proud of you and your staff for doing those things, taking it to a different level.
And just quickly, if you could mention the yearly activity report. You have it there. The one, your head count and all that.
Oh.
Just funny because August was up 900 over July, which August is the one that's about pretty much typical.
Yes.
Okay. And for these guys, because I know it took me for a while because nobody ever asked, but when you get down here, you see inmate days F and inmate days male, M, that it is not female and male.
No.
It is
misdemeanor and felony.
Okay, just for future. You ever wonder.
I know you always have that.
Yeah.
It throws you off. But,
I move to approve the report, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Budget amendment?
Yes, it's actually, we were fortunate to receive a federal grant.
We don't have that right.
No, we we were notified last week that the grant was accepted. This grant was actually submitted 2 years ago. And we were told we didn't get it last year, but last week we were told that we did get it. So it's been kind of catch up with all the, nuances and make sure we have everything, getting the budget amended. So we are going to install, it's a total of $226,036 into the budget and as you can see, it's going to be broken down.
You better read that,
Okay.
just so we know.
The county has been awarded an Office of Justice Program grant under the fiscal year 2013 Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Program. Plan and implementation for $226,036. This 2-year grant will fund the Rutherford County Treatment and Reentry Collaborative Contract with Volunteer Behavioral Health Care System, which is also known as the Guidance Center. Travel and training supplies. The total project includes an additional in-kind cost of $29,494 per year, provided by the Correctional Work Center for office and classroom space for the intensive treatment program and reentry services. So our part is really in-kind, giving them office space, and the rest is the.
So in essence, it doesn't cost the county anything, and it should help the inmates.
Right. And especially that reentry part is vital.
Okay.
It's a 2-year program.
Yes.
Additional employees required.
No.
Okay. What happens at the end of the 2 years?
It's up to this board and this committee and the county if we want to put in place some therapists or.
So there's potential you'll increase your budget by $250,000 2 years from now?
No.
Wow.
It'll be another grant.
That was a quick no.
Didn't we have something like this before to a lesser degree or something somewhere? I thought we had, somewhere we had behavioral stuff. It may not have been with the work center.
I don't think it was at the work.
It was at the sheriff's department.
And you
One
will
of
be
the-
keeping
one of-
some statistics on
Oh, yes.
recidivism and all that.
There'll be a lot of data entailed in this.
So we can look and see if we're really getting something,
Right.
if we want to continue.
And part of it is to make sure we keep you all abreast on those numbers and also the federal government. So.
Much of this will be the partnership with the behavioral, whatever the name of the company is, the Guidance Center. And lots of those dollars will flow to them and their staff that will be providing the actual intervention processes.
I think that we used him before.
No matching funds, all grant money.
Just the
And
office space.
We've been awarded, right?
Yes.
Move to accept the grant.
Second.
And it's got all the, and we need to put in here all approvals that need to be authorized.
Authorize the acceptance of the grant and the execution and signing by the mayor.
That's what I said.
Okay. That's what you said, Jeff?
I second it.
Yeah, okay. Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley,
Aye.
Commissioner Nipper,
Aye.
Commissioner Piercy,
Aye.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
And Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, just one thing I just want to thank, just make sure everyone knows, World Outreach Church for allowing us to bring the inmates to church yesterday. It was a great service, and especially Pastor Alan Jackson. It was a great experience for everyone. So.
How many inmates you take?
24.
Cool. Very good.
Thank you.
Juvenile detention, Ms. Duke.
Good evening.
Hello.
Okay.
Ms. Duke is, Lynn, is her first name, is department head of the Juvenile Detention Center, which is out right next, actually in front of the Correctional Work Center.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
We're actually going to be having an open house on October 30th. which is the day before Halloween,
my
from
birthday.
4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So if you ever wanted to see the inside of the facility, there is more than just the juvenile detention center. It's the juvenile court clerk, juvenile probation. We will open it up, and you can come and learn all you ever wanted to know about the Juvenile Services Center.
That's on Thursday, the 30th?
It is October 30th, and I don't know what day that is.
What time?
From 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Thank you.
And also mention that you don't carry any kind of pocket knife in, no matter how small, or you get to walk back to your car and put it in.
All right, in front of you, you have our monthly report for August. You will find information on there regarding our average population, how many Rutherford County juveniles were booked into the facility, males and females, our out-of-county kids that were booked in, broken down into males and females. DCS is the Department of Children's Services, how many of those young people we held for the state. Also has information such as how many Rutherford County kids were brought in but were not detained. They were released with a court date. Other information that has been asked for in the past, such as where we're transporting, how many young people are on prescription medications. We also have included some programming numbers on there and how much money that we bill for out-of-county beds and how much we have received. Our average daily rate for out-of-county kids is $175 a day, and our state contract is for $132 and some odd cents a day. The bottom of each month you will see who still owes money that has not been collected. That's not something that is necessarily in arrears. It is just where that we have billed it and have not received the check back for that yet. And if there's any questions about that, I will happily answer them. I don't know if you want me to keep checking or if you want to.
Well, we need to approve the report.
Okay.
We get a chance to look at it.
Do we have to also approve the new contract?
Well, I've got, I have included with my report some yearly programming information that's broken down. And then because I knew there would be new commissioners, I have included some explanations as to what these programs are and what they do. Additionally, include generally each month a breakdown of what agencies are bringing in, what charges agencies are bringing kids to us for, and then how many, same type information as far as our out-of-county kids. So that's technically, all of that information would be considered the report. So, and I can answer any of those questions as well.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the report.
So move.
We got a motion to approve, do we have a second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I also have, for your approval tonight, is a contract with Perry County. This is a new contract. We've not previously contracted with Perry County. It's our standard contract that the county attorney has approved, again, for $175 a day. And then there is a new amendment that we are including with all of our contracts now that makes sure that our contracts include some verbiage that the federal government is requiring for a Prison Rape Elimination Act, and so that page is also included.
Perry County, that's a long way away.
Well, we're a good detention facility.
I don't doubt that a bit. That's a long way away. Do we have anybody that's further away than Perry County?
Perry County.
Well,
Madison, is Madison farther away?
Madison,
Jackson.
So,
Jackson? It's gracious. Okay. How many contracts does this make for us, right about?
oh, you're gonna make me,
I'm not gonna make you do anything.
oh,
I'm just
20, middle, 20, give or take. Maybe about 30 now.
asking. Percentage-wise, Rutherford County kids versus contract kids?
Oh,
Not
we
even
generally
close.
keep about, maybe five contract kids.
Do some of these counties have contracts with other counties?
Yes,
Okay.
it is beneficial to have contracts with as many facilities as you can, so that if there's a problem or an issue with one, you have other options.
I move to accept
Wait a minute.
contract.
Down at the very bottom, where it says the deal, it says, does Perry County owe you money now?
We accepted a child pending this approval, because their officials had already signed it, and then it was when public safety was farther away than when they needed the bed. So based on that, their officials had already signed it, and ours was just going to be, the word isn't coming to me, but,
Formality.
yes, that's exactly it. It was just a formality for us to sign. We went ahead and accepted based on the fact that we had their signatures already. Thank you.
Continue, Mr. Wood.
I move to accept the new contract.
We have a motion and a second. This is by acclamation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Good catch, Stephen.
In that, the new amendment on there is something we just approved, the PREA person or something, rape and sexual abuse, is the Prison Rape Elimination Act, and we have a person now that knows all about that, so supposedly that can make sure everything's done right.
That's the best way to put it.
Good evening.
How are you, Mr. Tillage?
The crew.
Yeah, the crew. Okay. This is Monica Tillage, who is with our Domestic Violence Center, Program Center, I guess is what it is.
Domestic violence court.
Court.
And we
All right, and
also-
we'll introduce the other.
Okay.
This is Deborah Johnson. She is the director of the Domestic Violence Program, and they have a shelter that you know about, some of you in Murfreesboro, and this is a board member of the Domestic Violence Program, Brian Nail. Did I say that right, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, let me sort of give an overview here, and I believe Monique and Deborah both have posted their proposal. That's, those two items are on your iPad there, but for those of you that are new, the domestic violence offenders, as they go through our process in our system, they are made to pay certain fines and fees, et cetera. And that comes into what's called the Victims Assistance account, you might say. And over the years, we've accumulated a substantial amount of money in that fund. It's paying for Monique's program. It's paying, we've been contributing for a while, several years, money to the domestic violence program, and I think we're paying out of this Victims Assistance Fund, both Monique's, and we're also giving over $31,500, I think, this year for the domestic violence program. And this budget amendment's not on your iPad, but you have it been passed around. You can see that right now, we won't look at these detailed numbers until they sort of get through with this, but we have $540,000 in that fund, and it can only be used to help domestic violence victims. That's the purpose of the fund. It's a restricted use fund. It's continuing to accumulate even more money than we're using in our domestic violence court. And in fact, the amount of money it's accumulating will be, that we're not using currently, is more than the $44,970 that we say we want to add to our annual expenditures. Saying all that to say, Lisa and I had some opportunity to see just how many dollars are accumulating here, and we had a meeting with Monique and Deborah and talked to them about their additional needs, and they have some additional needs that we are in a position to fund and assist and provide some help to, that will expand even our programs. So this is what this is all about. So Monique, she can tell you a little bit more about the history of what she's doing and why she needs this person. Our domestic violence court is Ms. Tillage and 2 part-time people that work about how many hours? 25 hours a week each. And Ms. Johnson and her team, they have this shelter, and she can tell you more about what they're doing. But what we're proposing to do, and it's well within our budget and well within our capacity, and we'll still gain ground with respect to the dollars that are available. Monique wants to convert one of her part-time persons to a full-time person, and we want to add 1 full-time person to the domestic violence program and Ms. Johnson can tell you about that. So that's an overview of what we want to do, and we think it's much needed. And I guess Monique and I guess I'll take the responsibility for this. We should have been proactive on this even much earlier than this. And sometimes things we just don't see everything we should see when we, but this is where we are today, and I think it's an opportunity for us to use these funds that are set aside just for these purposes to even enhance the lives of these people that are facing these difficult. So Monique, you can take off and give them your little proposal and overview.
Okay. I believe that I am on your iPad under tab C.
Okay.
And I've placed, I believe the first page is just a brief overview of the request for the additional funding. Right now, our program, as the mayor has already stated, is myself and then 2 part-time staff that work 25 hours a week. We work primarily in general sessions court. So when a case is bound over to circuit court, there is no program there in circuit court that continues to assist victims. So when they're down in general sessions court, we're there with them, we go with them to court, we support them however they need assistance walking through the process. They can contact us in the office if they have any questions. We update them on when their court dates are. We call them to make sure that they know when their court date is coming up, they know what time, they know what courtroom. When they get upstairs, there's none of that. So some of these cases end up getting dismissed because somebody forgot about their court date or because they weren't notified. Downstairs, we'll also send subpoenas if we're unable to get somebody by phone. We'll send a subpoena, we'll send a certified letter. Well, sometimes they're not receiving that in circuit court, and again, that means these cases get dismissed. A lot of those cases that are going to circuit court are going to be more of your serious cases. So again, you have that case and it's getting dismissed. Another issue that we run into is when the case is bound over to the grand jury, that case gets presented to the grand jury, it's either no billed or true billed. If it's no billed, in the general sessions arena, when that criminal charge is taken out, there is a no contact order put in place. When it goes to the grand jury and it's no true billed, which means they've basically decided not to indict and send that case to circuit court, that no contact order goes away. So you then have a victim of a crime who thinks that they have a no contact order in place and they don't. And there's nobody right now to contact them to say you no longer have protection in place. And so basically we're asking for these funds so that we can be more of an assistance to the victims that we serve in Rutherford County. If you look at your next page, you should see public safety notes. And what I did was I did a new public safety notes based on the statistics that we've had since January of 2014. I also included the report that I presented back in the end of the year report, because I knew that we would have some new people with us tonight. So when you look at that public safety report, you see that since the beginning of the year, we've done about 700 cases. 512 of those were misdemeanors, 166 were felonies, domestic assault, 8 of those were stalking cases, and 10 were violations of order of protection. And 700 may not look like a lot, but when you understand that a typical case enters the criminal justice system an average of 3 times before it is actually adjudicated, you take that 700 and multiply by 3, now we're at 2,100. So that's 2,100 contacts that our office has had with the victim of a crime. In addition, I've put there that that number does not include the phone harassments, custodial interference, vandalisms, preventing another person from making an emergency call, false imprisonment, aggravated burglaries, and then our office also handles sexual batteries and rapes. The reason those numbers aren't tracked is because we also have a grant. So we track those other figures because we have to for the grant. So the additional work that we do is not tracked, but we're still assisting those victims in court as well. And again, we only have 1 full-time staff and 2 part-time staff trying to handle that caseload. And then if you look at the 2013 statistics, you see we had 1,147. Again, if you multiply that by 3, you'll see that we're well on our way to doing just as many this year or more.
And we also fund out of the program an assistant DA to help prosecute these. That's being funded with these victims assistance funds as well.
Well, and then when you also look at the work that we do in General Sessions Court, as the mayor said, we're creating funds to continue on with the prosecution of these cases, supporting victims. We have a 4% dismissal rate right now in General Sessions Court. And so those funds are continuing to accrue.
Mayor Burgess, where do those funds come from?
From the victims, not the victims, from those people that
from offenders' fees. So
and when they go through court, they are fined, and these fees flow right in to this fund for that purpose only.
And it's increasing.
It's increasing.
The fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You can see how much it's increased since it's been put in place.
The amount of incidences are increasing, therefore the amount of funds are increasing, unfortunately.
The domestic violence program that you deal with, there's providing temporary housing and those types of things. Are you big enough?
Well, our program, we're the only people presenting tonight, I guess, in our agency that is not part of county government. We are a private nonprofit. We were chartered in 1986 here in Rutherford County. And we're in a very unique position in Rutherford County because when there is a domestic violence crime in any county, across the country almost, the victim would go to a courthouse, to a court clerk's office, or possibly to a law enforcement office to file what's called an order of protection, a type of civil restraining order. In our county, that victim comes to the domestic violence program, to a nonprofit private agency to do that same piece of work. That honor was given to us in 1989 by Chancellor Stegall before he retired. And just to take a second of your time, the reason we were given that honor here in this county to do this piece of work is we were taking a client and several small, minor, sticky children to the judge's office to have an order of protection signed one day. And as you can imagine, the children were on the judge and on the judge's desk and on the floor and pulling things out of the bookcase. And following that meeting with the judge, I happened to mention that in some areas, domestic violence programs stepped up and did a little bit more work in this arena with orders of protection and clients. And about 2 weeks later, I had not talked to my board at that time, and about 2 weeks later, we got a letter from the Chancellor's office and said, from this point forward, the domestic violence program will be responsible for filing of orders of protection in Rutherford County and Camden County, the 16th Judicial District. And I went to my board and said, look what I did. And we've continued that work since. So we take a tremendous piece of work off of the court clerk's office. About 600 orders of protection are filed with the court each year through our office. And a different number that's actually very important is about 300 additional clients come through the office that do not qualify for an order of protection. It may not have been a relationship. Maybe it's a problem with a neighbor. Maybe it's very harassing but not a dangerous situation, and things like that. And trying to screen the clients to go to the court system or not is really a tremendous service, I believe, to the county, because it's so much more difficult. If we have a client and there's physical injuries and there's evidence of domestic violence and possibly an arrest, it's a smooth process. We fill out paperwork, we fax file it to the courthouse, the client has a court date, and we proceed. When the client doesn't qualify, and it's like, well, that's just great, so I have to get killed first before you're going to do something to help me? You know, nobody's helping me. The sheriff wouldn't do it, and the court won't do it. Now, what am I supposed to do? It's a very difficult discussion that our staff takes on behalf of the same victims. So we really believe that we can assist Monique in the criminal court division because our clients also start with the order of protection in civil court. But if there's an arrest and if there's a criminal case pending, the order of protection has to sit back and wait to the outcome of the criminal court. If the defendant was to say, well, okay, put an order of protection against me, I'll stay away from her, I'll leave the house, he is in a sense admitted guilt to a crime. And when it went to criminal court, he could then held accountable for what he has said in civil court. So it has to take a back seat to criminal court. And then, as Monique said, if there should be no true bill and the protection is dropped by the criminal court, then the civil court picks up again and continues with that order of protection for up to a year. If it's violated, up to 5 or even 10 years for that victim. So it's a real dovetailing. The other piece of the puzzle that our agency does fill in with our clients, as you probably know, in the courthouse, you can't take your purse, you certainly can't take your baby, and you have to get there and you've got to park and you've got to be on time. And for a lot of our victims, that's just not going to happen without some assistance. So we try to do emergency daycare, transportation, notification, and things like that on behalf of our victims, just to get them to show up to go through the process successfully.
And myself and Ms. Johnson do work very, very closely together. Even if you look on your 2013 public safety notes, I did put the orders of protection in there, and I go to order of protection court as well and work with Ms. Johnson's staff there in order of protection court.
Let me mention one thing that I forgot to mention. One thing that our staff has been able to do prior to 2006, this process in our agency was done by paralegals and non-professionals, social work type staff. In 2006, the judges asked that we step up, and if we're going to sort of play before the court and get before the bar, that we be properly represented before the bar. So part of our budget now is for a part-time attorney, and every victim of domestic violence who gets an order of protection in Rutherford County is represented by an attorney. And that, again, across the state, you will just not find, you know, that service to our petitioners. So we're pretty proud of that one, too.
So at this time, do you two ladies work together now?
Oh, yeah. Our two programs work together.
Your two
Well,
programs are working
our two
together
programs,
now?
yes, sir.
Okay.
I think I either talked to Deborah or somebody who is on her staff probably every day.
I think what the two of us have identified that what Monica does in criminal court at the general sessions level and what we do in civil court at circuit court level are both working very well with our staff and with our program. But when our clients get to that higher level of criminal court, we've both stepped back. And now the client's going to flounder. And it's like, I don't understand. You know, we've been to court downstairs, and then I've had this order of protection, and then I've talked to somebody in something they called that sessions court, and now I got some kind of a court date, but they said I didn't have to come. my abuser's gonna go, but I don't have to go and I don't understand.
Well,
And we're not there to answer the question.
And when you get to that point, you know, we do get a lot of calls where people don't understand why they don't have to come. So when you get to circuit court, like in general sessions court, they're required to be there at every court date. When you get to circuit court, you have an arraignment where they really don't need anybody but the defendant. And then they'll have motion days where they really don't need anybody but the defendant or their attorney. And then you get to the actual plea date, and that's when they need that other party to be present, but they don't understand why he's had X amount of court dates, but I didn't get to go. So they must be working something out without me, is what people get to thinking. And then if they don't have anybody to tell them anything different, that's what they think, and they just kind of go away.
Let me ask you this. Is there, between your program and when you send them to a lawyer or whatever, is there a kind of where people get who have suffered domestic violence, say stalking or harassment or something like that, can get dropped? I mean, you say that you can't take them, but they can't afford $1,000 for a lawyer. I mean, is there a great number of those people?
There's a lot of situations. We had a frantic call just over the weekend, and it was an older gentleman, and he said, I've got 3 people in my house, and I can't get them out. And they're ugly, and they're nasty, and they're dirty, and they're tearing up my house. I need help. But the police department said that they can't help them. So I'm calling you. And our branch was like, what exactly did they say to you? Well, they said that I couldn't do anything about it, and they could mess up my house if I wanted to. And it's like, keep going, say something that says I'm gonna hurt you. And I said, have they threatened to harm you? Well, no, they hadn't. And that's just like, well, I don't believe that you can get an order of protection, but come to our office, let's talk about all the possible options you, and well, the first thing I said is, it sounds like this would be an eviction that you would do it. And he says, I've had a stroke, I don't understand all this stuff. And I said, come to our office, let's walk through all of the possible scenarios, you know, that you have. Because what I'm thinking is, as soon as he does do that eviction process and they get served, they're gonna get harmful. And he has to know about this other process and what to do about it. But there are a lot of people, it's the next door neighbor, who can even be threatening and deranged and have a weapon. That's not domestic violence, that's an assault about your neighbor. And people don't understand those differences. It's very, very confusing. So we do a lot of steering.
You said so far this year you've had 696 cases. Now, of these, how many, all of them go through general sessions, and some of those are then referred over to circuit court?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many go into just circuit court right off the bat? Is there any, or do they all go through general session?
No, sir.
Okay.
They all of those cases there that you see go through general sessions court.
Are 166 of them that are felony domestic assaults, do they go to circuit court?
All of them may not go to circuit court, and that's just a call, you know, of the district attorney's office, you know, whether.
And that's where everything falls through the cracks, and there's no people to do it,
Yes,
is
sir.
what
And
you're saying.
then sometimes some of those misdemeanor domestic assaults, you know, the DA may decide that some of those should have been felonies, but they weren't at the general sessions level, and then at the grand jury they will try to indict for a felony.
We've heard what they have to say about it. The money is there because it can't be used for anything else. And they're asking for $44,970 to take a part-time and make it a full-time, and to have a full-time person at 10 something an hour.
10.90 an hour is what we're saying.
Okay. And the social security benefits and all that.
I think this is a really good timing on your part, because you really will have to have your head in the sand not to have seen the high-profile incidents of
What do you think they asked
domestic
tonight, I think?
violence that have occurred in the last 30 or 45 days, multiple. And so, you know, I think anything we can do about it, it doesn't respect any kind of ethnic, socioeconomic, or any type of boundaries between two individuals most of the time. Anything we can do to mitigate that is great in my opinion.
One of the detectives called it homicide prevention programs.
I think you're
And I
right.
think that's probably a pretty good description.
That's the next step.
Commissioner, do I hear that you're making a motion?
And just ask the mayor, you're fully supportive and behind this and
Absolutely.
recommend approval.
Yes, sir.
And I'll second the motion.
Well, he was just asking a question. Make the motion.
I move to approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. And call roll, please. Budget amendment.
Commissioner Gurley, Commissioner Nipper,
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes. Anything else? And thank you for enlightening us.
And I have a question since, I said I've never been part of this group or your county budget. Would you like a report similar to Monique's on a monthly basis?
Well, Monique,
for this
she
this
doesn't
funding?
report every month. We report quarterly, Monique.
I report annually.
And, okay, we'll give your report when Monique gives her report, okay?
That'd be great.
So you can work that out together.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Now we have drug court. Mrs. Mary.
Unfortunately, you have a blank from drug court. Deputy Mayor Davidson has run downstairs to make copies for me, which I really appreciate. But in the meantime, I must have given him something else. Oh, gosh. In the meantime.
I've got a report dated
I've got a report. I got a
September
report up in front
22nd.
of me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is it blank? Is September blank?
Let's see.
September's blank, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, we only get the
Yeah.
statistics.
Yeah,
Talk
you
about-
don't have the
talk about the
narrative either.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Well, we have that narrative, I think.
Oh, you couldn't find it.
It's here,
The narrative is?
yes.
But the September column is not there with my numbers.
Neither's the.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay. Well, if I may introduce myself, since we have so many new ones. I'm Mary Schneider. I'm the director of the Rutherford County 416th Judicial Drug Court and DUI Court program. We're kind of switching over to calling them recovery courts now instead of drug courts and DUI courts. That seems to be more positive. And Mr. Nipper, I'm happy to meet you because you are my commissioner.
Glad to meet you.
So, and I was not familiar with you before the election, so I'm happy to meet you as well. We have been around for 14 years, believe it or not, and you're all going, oh, I didn't even know we had such a thing. Thank you, you're wonderful. I gave you the wrong thing, too. They said they have the narrative, though.
Yes.
They have that, so we're good, okay. And we started the drug court in 2000, and we started the DUI court program in 2008. And we have the capacity to serve 80 participants at any one time. The drug court is an 18-month-long treatment program for people that have drug addictions. They're referred to us through the court. We take multiple offenders. We take people that are really struggling, really have a hard time, that qualify for the psychiatric definition of addiction. And they get a lot of therapy. They get several drug screens a week. They see Judge David Bragg weekly to report on their progress. They have a case manager. They have a therapist. We have someone that does home visits. And they have to have, if they don't have their education, they have to get a GED or at least attempt to get their GED. They cannot graduate from the program unless they either have a job or are enrolled in school, and they have to have all their court costs and fines paid off. So hopefully when they leave us successfully, they have no obligations to the court. Those of them that do not make it, which is unfortunately 50% in the drug court, go and serve their entire sentence. They plead guilty before they're furloughed into our program. So they have already pled guilty to a sentence, and they go and they serve it. They get some time, if they've served any jail time other than what they served in drug court, they get credit for that. But still, it's usually a pretty full sentence. We take misdemeanors and felons. And then the DUI court is multiple offenders as well, and we mostly focus on alcoholism with that, and they're usually pretty hardcore alcoholics. And it's kind of the same thing. They have their therapy groups, case manager, therapist, see the judge once a week, have to pay everything off, get their license back. Now you have to get that intoximeter on your car before you can get your license back. I think you have to do that for 6 months before you can do all that. But anyway, so the law is making it very expensive, and really these people are very well watched. And we have an 85% success rate with them, meaning that 85% of them successfully complete the program. So we're very proud of our DUI court. So now that you have that, I think that's all I needed to say. We have a staff of 8, and we're over in the old health department on the first floor. We meet in Judge Bragg's courtroom at 8 o'clock every Thursday morning. You're more than welcome to come and watch from the pews. We also have a graduation coming up October 30th, which is the same day as Lynn's open house. Ours starts at 6, so if you want to go to one event to another, you can. We do it right here in the main courtroom. And I know that you have come to many of them, and I appreciate that. The mayor participates in those as well, and they're usually very moving because the graduates get up and tell their stories, and it's quite moving. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. People cry, and it's wonderful. So Judge Ashley used to do it, said that it was better than going to church. I don't know if that's true, but it's pretty good. So that's our program in a very little nutshell. So let's look at our statistics. Like I said, we have a capacity for 80, 60 in the drug court and 25 in the DUI court. You can see we're well below our numbers right now. Not real sure what that's about. A lot of people hear very negative things about drug court out in the jail and think that it's like going to the house of 1,000 corpses, I think, and they just are scared to death to come to us. They said that the rumor out at the jail is that we have a 90% failure rate, and I just look at them and said, why would anybody give me money to do that? You know, that's just silly. And I think a lot of it's that fear of having to change your entire lifestyle, and it's hard work. It's very, very hard work. So our numbers are very, very much down, but we are looking at some remedies for that, and I will bring that up in just a little while. We have about equal number of men and women. You can just see, we have phases of the program. There's 3 phases. The first phase is the longest and the hardest, and they're pretty much with us every day. The second phase, a little bit less intense. They see the judge every other week. And then the third phase, they only see the judge once a month, but they still have their drug screens and everything. And then they graduate after the third phase. As you can see, prescription medications are the top drugs in Rutherford County. That's just like the state. That's true of the state as well. And those drugs are opiates and sedatives, which are your pain pills and your Xanaxes. A lot of the people, and I don't really understand this, but apparently the thing nowadays is to drink and do Xanax and go commit crimes that you don't even remember, and you wake up in jail and don't know why, which I don't understand at all. But that's what they all said, that they don't even remember doing the crime. So who knows? And then marijuana used to be our leading drug forever. And so the prescription drug thing is pretty new. We're still seeing crack cocaine, and it's still one of the hardest things to get people off of. We have a lot of relapsing with crack cocaine, unfortunately. And then we're seeing just a little bit of methamphetamine and a little bit of methadone. And I think the methamphetamine, we have a couple of people from Cannon County, and that's mostly where that is in Cannon County. The DUI court, 100% alcohol. They don't do anything but drink. So that's, easy enough to take care of, you would think. Again, we're a little bit under our capacity, but we have so many referrals right now. We're working it. And then you can see how many are in each of the phases and what have you. And they don't do a big graduation like drug court does. Drug court, I think they really see this as a huge accomplishment. Most of them have never completed anything in their lives, so they really like the pomp and circumstances that go with the graduation. DUI court, these are people that are more established in the community, have had jobs for 13 years, 20 years, have a family life, but they may be destroyed financially from all their drinking and what have you. And I mean, there's family relationships too, but that's what we work on. But they like to be a little bit more discreet because I think they're a little bit better known in the community than the drug court people. So we usually just do that in court, and it's very quiet and very simple, and they enjoy that. So we don't do the great big one with them. So those are my numbers. My report, I did have to let go of one of my employees last month, which was very unfortunate. She had been there for a long time, and have decided not to rehire that position. So I moved one of my other staff members up into her position, and we're just all doing groups right now until Anthony Yanis, who is our new case manager now, he's going to be trained in some of these groups, so he can take them over, and we'll keep our staff where we are right now. I think we're better off that way. So everybody's helping out a lot. Our program's doing great. It's doing better, if you ask me. But anyway, also, so I do need to say this publicly. Sonia Stevenson was just remarkable with this entire process. I appreciated it so much. I've never done anything like this, and so she walked me through it. She really did all the investigation, all the interviewing, everything that needed to be done, and was just so professional about it. And I just really appreciated it. She does a very, very, very good job, and she has continued to follow up with us to make sure we're okay and all that stuff. And I can't say enough about her. She was extremely important and supportive in a very, very difficult situation. Deputy Mayor Jeff Davidson and I had our first official planning meeting for a Veterans Court. There is a huge swelling of enthusiasm to start a Veterans Court in Rutherford County. We finally got all the people that would be involved in it together today and talked about a lot of things. I think everybody's on tap for it. I think they're good to go with it. We're going to start with a pilot project first, and I'm hoping that by inserting this Veterans Court into our court, then we'll have the appropriate numbers. You know, we don't have to add a whole nother docket. We'll still have a Veterans Court, a DUI court, a drug court, but all together, I'm hoping that will increase our numbers, is what I'm trying to say. We're hoping to have the pilot program started in January. We're probably going to start with about 10. According to Jeff's information, we have about 16 in the jail and workhouse system right now, mostly misdemeanors. But I think, if we went out and talked to them about what was available, which, the mentoring thing is the biggest thing. We've got 10 people trained as mentors in Rutherford County that are ready to go right now to help these vets out, and they're vets too, and some of them are in recovery as well. And of course the VA is very much on board with providing mental health issues, PTSD stuff. There's a Veterans Recovery Center off of Memorial that they are welcome to all the time. I'm actually going to see that on Friday. So it's just, right now we're just looking at it. I'm not talking about grants, we're not talking about matches, any of that kind of stuff. It's just, we're just looking right now to see if this is something that we can accomplish along with our successful drug court and DUI court. So I think we're pretty excited about it though. We have an intern. I was sorry I couldn't bring him tonight, but he has class on Monday night, but he's a criminal justice intern, so he's a little different. And his whole thing is about wanting to help start a drug court, so the Vets Court has been very successful as far as teaching him how it works. And then, you all don't know this, but we're a county department. We do get some money from the county, but most of our money comes from either grants, donations, fees, whatever I can scrape up under rocks, anything. And so we have developed a 501c3 called the Recovery Support Foundation, and they hold an annual run every year, and that's our big fundraiser. And we kind of changed it up a little this year, and we got a management company, and they did an excellent job. But we are now called the Breakthrough 5K and 10K race, and apparently it was very well run. I was at home with 101 temperature, so this is the first race I ever missed, and it just killed me, but it was very successful. Don't have the money numbers yet, so we'll have to see how we did on the fundraising part of it, but that is something you'll hear me talk about constantly, because they do a lot for the drug court. They do our reception after graduations, they pay for the plaques, they do a picnic for us in May, they do a Christmas party in December. They help out with medical expenses, vehicle expenses, prescription pill expenses, child care expenses, anything that, you know, we can't pay for. The board really helps out with a lot. So we're very thankful and very grateful to have them with us. So that is my narrative and that is my report. Are there any questions? And I heard you missed
Graduation
me.
starting
Yes,
from
I
6
did.
p.m., right?
I'm sorry,
Graduation.
yes, the graduation will be 6 p.m. October 30th, yes.
Thursday.
Thursday night, yes.
Okay. Thank you for a thorough report.
Okay.
Hearing no more questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the report.
So move.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last but not least. The last will be first and the first shall be last. You an Army fan?
Oh, that's Platinum Blaze.
Oh, oh.
Even though I went to Oakland.
Yeah. Get a kid out there or something?
No, just found the tie. That's my excuse. My wife says it's an Illinois tie. That's where she's from. That's where she's from, that's right. Okay. We have received our GHSO grant for 2014-15. Of course, you know, the federal year is October, so we're trying to get this one in the works for the upcoming budget year. So we received a total of $108,615. $31,600 of that is for equipment, as noted in the grant. So we'd like to put that into our law enforcement equipment line item on the sheriff's office side. The balance will go into sheriff's office overtime, $64,383, and then the related benefits that go along with those dollars.
And you're gonna tell us what GHSO
Oh, Governor's Highway Safety Office, yeah.
That's the DUI checkpoints
Yes,
and
sir.
all this.
Yep.
You heard the requests. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A motion, we have a second.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commis-
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley, Commissioner Nipper,
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
The next one's for the drug fund, and they have come up with their budget for this year, so that we're going to take $155,000 out of restricted for public safety, and we'll put that into the 122 line items are all the drug fund. Then we have the normal budget line items that you see there. So we're going to put $5,000 in law enforcement supplies, $10,000 into vehicle maintenance and repair, $40,000 into equipment, $60,000 into new vehicles, $10,000 in building improvements, and then $30,000 into data processing equipment. This will all be for the drug fund.
We have any questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
A motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Two vehicles?
Probably.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper,
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Then we have our budget reports.
Okay. The sheriff's side, is there anything unusual?
Not that we see.
Would you tell us if there was?
Sure, we'd like to.
Anything we should see? Typical
When you
for this
get on
time
the
of
other
year.
side, you got, you know, we talked about it last time, most of y'all weren't here, about the water, and you'll see that in your other part of the budget stuff, but you can see that in our utilities. And about how much the water, due to the water meter being wrong for some time. So,
Is it still wrong? Or did
no,
they
they've
fix it?
replaced it and our water doubled
Yeah.
in price. It went from roughly about $11,500 a month to, we got one bill for $23,500.
Looking at the report, that we talked about training in a couple of other departments, and I see that you've got like 50% of your training budget left. You've already spent 50% of it. You okay there?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of that gets encumbered on the front end, and there's a lot of classes they'll go ahead and sign up for. You got to put down payments, and we go ahead and tell the departments, especially if you've got something that's on a annual recurring basis, you know, training you're going to go through. Go ahead and get those dollars tied up while you can, so we know we're going to have that's anything extra for the year.
Okay. Same thing with this. I think it's 334 maintenance agreements. So 32% left.
Yeah.
Same thing
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, you always, you know, that's what the yearly
Fire
contracts.
fire
Blanket purchase
suppression,
orders.
yeah.
Yeah, blanket purchase orders, what those are.
Anything that looks like you may be in trouble?
Utilities.
Utilities, 707. You know, we talked about several things during the budget last year and told that we knew we weren't going to be able to go all year. So,
Food.
Food, but you know, when it comes to the cell phone towers, or not cell phone, the repeaters on the towers, stuff like that, we know probably come January we'll be here asking for money for cell phones and for other equipment like that.
Thank you.
Further questions on the reports? Yeah. Next month, on the reports for the jail and the sheriff's side, both, but bring us a write-up on it so they can take them home and look at them a little bit.
Like I did with the budgets.
Yeah.
Ironically,
yeah.
and you didn't even tell me, but this is what I handed out to the new sheriffs that came by the other day. Here, I'll let you pass those out. Kind of give you some statistical
Okay.
about the jail side.
Okay.
I can tell you today we're at 896 inmates, 956 is capacity, and we have 13 females sleeping on the floor. So,
What I'm interested in is just this report here, just one time.
Oh, yeah.
So they can look it over and then say when they get it on the iPad, it'll make a little bit more
They kinda
sense
know
to
what it's all
them than
about.
trying to
Yeah.
get it all at once, okay?
We can do that.
All right, thank you.
Okay. The only thing I've got left is our, for y'all's review after the meeting's accommodation letters.
We're gonna do the report though. Okay. Y'all,
I'll make to approve this report.
thank you. We have a motion to approve the jail and sheriff's reports. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And I got one thing that I need to bring up that I was told you. In finance, it seems that last fiscal year during the budget process, we changed a lieutenant's position to a captain.
yes.
Okay. And it was put in the sheriff's side,
Yes.
but it should be in the jail side.
Yes, we are promoting a lieutenant in the jail
Jail,
to
yes.
take
So,
over.
What we're saying is it was put into the sheriff's budget as opposed to the jail's budget. And Ms. Nolan just brought it to me this evening right before. She didn't have a write-up for us, but this is just really, it's a paperwork thing to put it in the right place. And so I just want to make y'all aware of it because she'll be taking it to budget in 2 weeks and into the full commission with them. And that was just
Housekeeping.
Yeah.
No new money.
No new money, no,
No new
no,
money.
no. But I just wanted to make sure you all knew that we were gonna do it too.
Yep.
Okay. Any more questions, Sheriff? Thank you very much. Short and sweet.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Burgess, on that utility expense for the county jail, we're gonna be prepared to find additional monies to pay that come the first part of the year.
Well, the only place we can find is out of the ending fund balance. Unless we find savings somewhere within their budget. It's a little too early to know if we're gonna find savings or not.
And we don't know how much more it's gonna be.
Well, right now, it's running twice as much almost. So it's
On the water, if it's twice as much, that's $120,000 a year more just on water.
But I know cities in the county, well, Murfreesboro did it here recently too, started looking into the water meters. I know Laverne's done it. And people, they had old meters that weren't doing it, now the new ones, and they're all going up. Before we adjourn, I think on the sheriff's, you should have a resolution. You might just want to take a moment to read it, and it's going to be a resolution of recognition. You may have read about it on emails or on
this one that's on the front page of the paper.
paper and this type thing. So I think it's the least we can do for them, but I just want to make you all aware of that. Okay. This will be done at beginning of the.
They're very devoted to his job.
And you can read it, see if it sounds okay to you.
We just wanted to give you a heads up that this is, typically we just put those resolutions up there, but we thought you should know about this before you hear about it at the commission meeting.
It usually doesn't come this way, but just, he deserves it. Yeah. That's what you, that's.
And we like to still try to only do these kinds of things when they're really extraordinary.
That's why he passes out these things that you can read at your leisure, find people in his office that have done it, but this is kind of, it involves murder, kind of brings it out a little bit more on that. Okay. Do we have any other business, any other announcements? No ham breakfast, nothing like that? Okay. We're adjourned.